Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I didn't say good morning this time because I am now used to our new time slot at 3:30. My name is Viet Cadeau, and I am a programs manager at the Oak Globe for the Arts Engagement Department, and I am very, very, very excited today. We have not only one of our fellow teaching artists hosting, but we have a casting director who focuses on TV and film, and so I'd like to introduce them both of you. So today's episode is called Coffee with Coco, aka Business Basics. I know we all enjoyed that 1 hour that we had with Jake a couple weeks ago, and we thought maybe that wasn't enough. Maybe we need to have a little more information on the business side of acting. And so I'd like to introduce one of our fellow teaching artists, Tara Ricasa. She is on staff here at the Oak Globe. She's a San Diego native, and she's worked professionally both in California and New York as an actor, a puppeteer, a director, production manager, and a producer. So she keeps pretty busy. She works regularly as a teaching artist for us, but also with the Center Theater Group, the Geffen in LA, Jolla Playhouse, and many others. So recently she's joined also the staff of Pacers, National Bullying Prevention Center, as well as the LA Puppet Program Coordinator, and is a proud member of Actors Equity. So welcome to the show, Tara. I'll let you introduce Coco.
Hey, thanks, Vietka. So friends, I am Tara, as Vietka mentioned, and I'm going to be your special guest host for today's episode of Creative Youth Studio. And in addition to being a teaching artist, I've also had the opportunity to work professionally on both sides of the casting table. So today I'm going to put on my director/producer hat as we take a closer look inside Business Basics 2.0. So if you haven't yet, go ahead and get your coffee ready. All right, because I'm going to introduce you to a very dear friend and colleague, Coco Kleppinger. And Coco is a casting associate with Rich Delia Casting, an independent casting director, and because she needs to keep busy, a professor at UCLA School of Theater, Film, and Television. And before all of that, she was a professional actress for 17 years, so she knows her stuff. And in casting, she has worked on films such as It and It Chapter 2, The Disaster Artist, Shazam, Annabelle Comes Home, and the brand new HBO streaming film, Unpregnant. Coco hails from Wyoming, and she currently lives in Los Angeles. So Coco, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Excellent. So we're going to go ahead and just jump into our 20 million questions, because I know we have a jam-packed agenda for today, and we want to make sure that we leave some time at the very end for some Q&A as well. So thanks again for being here, Coco. And not last week, but a couple weeks ago, we actually had the privilege of talking to Jake, and he gave us some really great advice about how to prepare for and what to do in a theater audition. So I thought, and we talked it over with Vietka, that it would be great today if we could talk to you and build upon that previous knowledge and add a little bit more know-how specific to film and TV, because we know that you do a lot of work in that. So let's say I'm a young aspiring actor. I'm starting to get a little bit more experience now, and I know that I'm interested in pursuing this professionally. So where do I begin?
Well, first, it's helpful to understand what the audition process is and the people involved in it. So first thing that's going to happen is you're going to get a call or an email from your agent or manager, and they are going to say you have an audition. They're going to send you the sides and everything you need, parking info, directions, all that kind of thing. And this audition is called a pre-read, and it's usually with casting only. So someone like me. Don't worry, we're very nice people. And then you will go in, you'll nail the audition, and the next round of it is called the callback. Now, every callback is different. Sometimes you're reading for directors and producers or studio heads. Sometimes you're on a set and they'll have you in costume. That's called a screen test. Sometimes they'll have you with another actor. That's called a chemistry test. And all you are in charge of is making sure you're making the same strong choices you made the first time. And don't worry about any of the other people. Remember, they are just people. They're there to support you, and they're excited for you to be there. Now, once you've gone through that process, and sometimes that process can be many auditions long, hopefully everything goes well and you get a call from your agent or manager and they say, you've booked the job, and then you go home and celebrate.
Nice. Well, you make that sound really simple, actually. And it actually sounds really similar to what we already know about theatrical auditions as well. You have the audition, you get a call back, and eventually, hopefully, you book the gig.
Yeah.
So could you tell us, I know you mentioned there were some kind of important people involved along that process. Who are the people that we should know?
Yeah. All right. So first of all, let's talk about these people that support you. The first one is your agent. Now, the agent is kind of your business partner. Their job is to get you as many auditions as possible because they don't get paid unless you get paid. So these people typically have over 100 clients. So they're not really going to be your go-to for personal problems or things like that. But they are the people who fight for you to get the audition. They fight for you to get the callback. They follow up with us. And they're the people who negotiate your contract. So they make sure you get the money you want. They make sure that you get the billing you want, all of that stuff. Now, the manager is very similar in that they work closely with you and they're part of your team. The difference is that they have less clients, and so they're more able to deal with your personal career goals. So if you want to specifically be on television or you want to be in action films, they're the person who's looking out for those auditions for you. So the agent may send you 10 auditions, and the manager says, this is the audition that we're really going to work hard on because that's the one that's going to take you where you want to go. They're looking out for what your dreams are. They're also the person that you can call to say, I had a great audition, or I'm a little nervous about this upcoming audition, and they're the people who will help you with that kind of stuff. They also don't get paid unless you get paid, so they are also very invested in you getting work. And then finally, we have the other side of the table. That's me. That's casting. Now, casting works with the production team. And our job is to make sure that they have the best options possible to make the most interesting film they can. So we also advocate for you. We coach you in the audition room and make sure that the story that you're telling is as close as possible to the story the director is telling. We can sometimes negotiate on your behalf when you don't have an agent. And we make sure that production is playing fair across the field. So we're making sure that you're not getting way less than someone who has a similar role to you. And all of these people are on your side. We all want the film to go well, and we all want you to be in it if you're right for it. So when you come in, we're rooting for you.
Thank you. So that's actually a really great reminder, because I think I've definitely been in certain rooms before where I'm like, oh no, are they going to like me?
Same. Yeah.
It's great to think about all of those people as kind of in your corner, right?
Yeah. And you probably have people in your corner you don't even know yet. So make sure you're going about your business with the knowledge that if you encounter someone who's also in your business, chances are you guys will be teammates at some point, and make sure you're nice to them.
Very good tip. I'll hang on to that one. So Coco, now that we as young aspiring actors have a general idea of the process as well as an understanding of kind of who's who along the way, let's say I'm ready to kind of get started. I don't have these contacts yet. So what can I start to do first?
All right. So the first thing we want you to be is a curious person. You being a complete and happy and curious person is way more important than you being a brilliant actor. So we want you to be going out and exploring the world. You should be seeing theater, and there is theater available on Zoom, or you can watch productions that have been filmed. We want you to see good movies and good television. I know Love Island is very popular, but it's better if you're watching something with actors in it. And you should not just be watching these things, but studying these things. You should know if you like it or don't like it, why? Was it your kind of comedy? Do you like it because there was a lot of action in it? Is that your favorite actor because you feel like they're always honest, or they're always layered, or they're just really funny? You should know why you like the things you like. You can also be working, believe it or not. You could be doing plays. A lot of people are doing Zoom plays, so you can get involved in that. You could be doing short films. Films with your friends, films from schools, all that stuff is already up and running. So I encourage you to always be looking out for it. I also encourage you always to be in class. So most classes will let you audit, which means that you can sit in on one class to see if it's for you. but you should always be looking for a class that fits what you are specifically trying to work on. So if you say, I just want to be a better actor, that's okay. If you say, I really want to nail my comedic timing this month, and I'm going to find a class that helps me do that specifically, then you are saving yourself time and money by being specific with your career. Now, all of those things are going to help you get the basics down, your talent, your timing, your ability to audition, your taste, what you're looking to do with your career. And then you start needing to get some pieces together. One of these pieces is going to be your resume. Now, I know you've all gone over resumes with Jake, but I'm going to let you know what's important as far as casting is concerned. So at the top of your resume, I need accurate information. If you have an agent, I need your agent's name, phone number, and email. But if it's just you, that's okay too. I need your phone number and email, and make sure it's spelled right. Since your headshot's going to be in color, I don't really need you to do eye color and hair color anymore, but I do need your height. And if you're a specialty actor like a bodybuilder or an athlete or a dancer, I probably need your weight as well. This is also if you're a singer, where your vocal range is going to go. If you're in a union, I'm going to need you to put that there as well. So after that, I need your credits. And your credits need to be well organized, lined up properly, because I'm going to need to read it quickly. So make sure your categories are separated. You can see these resumes have lines between them, and that any important info is in there. Finally, I encourage you to be honest with your resume, your credits and your special skills specifically. I would much rather have a resume that shows that you are just starting out. That doesn't bother me at all, than having credits on there that I might know someone who was also in that project, and I can tell if you're lying or not. This is especially true when it comes to your special skills. You never know who you're auditioning for and what their skills are. I happen to also be a dialect coach. So if you're going to put dialects on your resume, make sure they're accurate. But you never know. If you're going in for someone who is really good at basketball and you have basketball on your resume, you better be able to back up that claim, because they're going to expect you to do it in one take. Now, the other piece of this puzzle is your headshot. So there are a couple of important elements to a headshot for me. The first is that it looks like you. So you don't put on makeup or hairstyles that you don't wear in real life. Don't put on clothes that feel awkward or uncomfortable. The important thing that you're showing off is you and who you are. I don't need you to be any different than you are. And trust me, there is a story for everyone to tell. It helps if it's professionally shot, if it's clear and crisp. And the other thing I really need is to see that you're saying something with your eyes. So you'll see some headshots where it just looks a little flat, and that's when we have troubles, because we need to have you be already telling a story. You want your headshots to be in color, and you want them to have a matte finish when you print them off. We don't want them to be glossy. And just so you are prepared, these are expensive, guys. They're going to cost anywhere from $400 to $1,200 to get the prints themselves. And then to print them off so that they're a real headshot, that's going to take another $100 or so. So make sure you save your money and have something to say when you do take the headshot, so you don't have to take them over again. You can see that these actors, as we see the headshots, are all well shot, well lit. We can see that there's something going on behind the eyes, that they have something to communicate. As we go, we're going to see one photo at the end that's not a great headshot. The difference is that this headshot at the end, it doesn't look super professional. This is it. It doesn't look super professionally done. It's a little fuzzy. And more than that, he's just smiling. It sounds like someone just said cheese. That we want someone to say something behind their eyes. Why are you smiling? Is it an I'm in love smile or a Christmas morning smile? It's gotta be specific, or you're just wasting your time, and more importantly, that $1,200 you're spending. So these alone are great, but I also encourage you guys to get a website. Now, a website's where you're going to be able to put all of your materials. You can put your headshots in there, your resume, your bio, your reels, your contact info, and that's going to be very important. This is my friend Quinn's website. Quinn is actually a San Diego native, so he comes from you guys' hometown. You can see that it's clear, it's colorful, it pops. We have all of his information in there. You can put your reel in there. The reel is just clips of you acting that are cut together. You want between 3 to 5 good clips of you acting. In total, you want your reel to be about 2 to 3 minutes. Closer to 2 is better. And you want big chunks of scenes. So not just 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, that kind of thing. We want to be able to get into the scenes and see you act. You also want to be the focus of your scenes in your reel. It's great if you've acted with someone famous like Will Smith, but if the scene is Will Smith and you say one line, then we're really watching Will Smith's reel, not yours. And we want to see what you can do with a scene. That's the whole point of it. It doesn't need to be flashy. It just needs to focus on you. Now I get the question a lot about social media. Now here's the real truth, guys. It doesn't matter. If you are wanting to have 1 million followers on Twitter or Instagram or Snapchat or any of those, TikTok, anything like that, great. But I care that you're doing most of your time and your focus on being an actor. So I don't really need you to spend a lot of time trying to get followers. It's going to be exhausting for you. And there's always going to be someone who has more followers than you just naturally because of what they do. Taylor Swift, Timothée Chalamet, all of these people are going to have a ton of followers just because they're famous. You're not famous yet, and that's okay. So spend more time on the other elements, the website and the reels and making sure you're passionate about your headshots, things like that, than making sure you have followers on Instagram. But once you get all of those elements together, then you have what we call a package. You have all the things to show that you are a professional actor. You have a great picture of yourself to show people what you look like. You have a resume that shows what you've done, and you have a reel that shows that you can act. Then you should be ready to go.
So Coco, it sounds like we've got quite a bit of work to do before we can even start like pitching ourselves to these.
No one said acting's easy.
So let's say, all right, I've done some school productions. I've maybe done a couple of projects out in the community, made a couple of short films with my friends. I've got all of that experience to sit on my resume. I'm feeling good, like I have some special skills I've developed that I can also include on there. I saved up my money. I've gotten some really great headshots that I feel look like me. And now I'm actually ready to approach some potential agents. So we just saw a quick little snapshot of one of those potential packages. What do I do with those? How do I get an agent?
All right, so there's 3 different ways you can get an agent or manager. One of them is to have a package like this. And what we do is we used to call it cold mailing. Now I guess it would be called cold emailing. If you have access to any emails for agents, you can send a package that looks like this. It's got a hyperlink with her website. It's got a great picture of her. It's got a bio below that. And then if we go to the next page, we've got her reels and a couple of fun pictures of her to show a different side of her. Now you can send that out yourself, or the second way you can do it is you can meet someone like me who's already in the industry, and we can do what's called an industry referral, where I've seen you act, I'm impressed, and I call up an agent or a manager I know, and I say, you should take a look at this actor. Now, an industry referral can come from casting, but it can also come from an acting teacher who knows agents. It can come from one manager to an agent or an agent to another agent. It can even come from people in your class who say, hey, my agent doesn't have anyone like you and you're amazing. Let me make an introduction. And then the other way that they can find you is by your work. They could see a student film you're in, they could see a play you're in, and they could love what you do and pick you up that way. And I guarantee that works because I got 2 different agents at 2 different points in my career that way.
Nice. Well, that's really helpful to know, actually, that if just like by doing stuff, we can actually maybe get in front of people who might even come our way.
Yeah, and agents will see that, and then they'll want to meet you. They'll want to have a meeting with you to see if your personality and their personality works and fits.
All right, so let's say I was just in a show, an agent happened to be there, they came and we made a meeting arrangement. Now I've got that meeting coming up, so what do I need to do when I'm in the meeting? And what do I need to not do when I'm in this meeting with this agent? Maybe the more important part is the latter part of that question.
Yeah. So again, I want you to be curious. So do your research. Look up the company, look up the agent. Remember, this is someone who is very proud of their job. So if their client has recently booked something, that's good for you to know. It's also important to look up their roster and make sure that they don't have anyone like you on it. But come to the agency meeting knowing that you're going to have something to bring to the table that you already know about them, because they'll be doing their research about you. Then you should dress like you on a nice day. So think when you're going out with your friends to a nice movie, or you're on a first date or something like that. Don't dress like a version of yourself because you'll be uncomfortable and everyone will know. But dress nice, dress like you. Comfortable, but on a good day. Then they're going to ask you a bunch of questions. So get specific. They'll ask what your favorite movies are. And again, don't just say, these are my favorite movies, but why? What do you like about them? These are my favorite actors. Here's why I like them. All of this is helping your agent or manager know where you like to be in your career. Some people really want to do just action films. Some people really love drama. Some people love comedy. They need to know what you're into. Then, because we're all nervous, I encourage you to practice. Practice a meeting with a friend or a teacher or your parents or whoever else, someone at Old Globe that you trust. Make sure that you know what your voice sounds like when you're going to talk so it doesn't scare you and you don't get nervous that way. And finally, give yourself plenty of time if it's an in-person meeting. There might be traffic, there might be parking, you never know what's going to come up. It's better for you to get there and have some time in your car to really sit and quiet yourself or pump yourself up, rather than to be rushed for time. And now something you don't want to do. You don't want to change who you are. You are being accepted into this meeting because they liked who you are. So don't try to be Kim Kardashian. Don't try to be Saoirse Ronan. Don't try to be Denzel Washington. Be you. If you're a jeans and t-shirt person, don't come in a suit. Your agent will know you're uncomfortable, and you don't need to impress them with that. You've already impressed them with your work. Don't let your agent tell you who you think you are. Your agent might say something like, I really see you in comedies. And if you really don't, then that's a conversation you can have. But if at the end of the meeting they say, yeah, I really just see you in comedies, and you really don't feel like that's where you're headed, it's okay to say no to an agent if it doesn't feel right. Then don't forget, along with that, that you are as valuable as your agent. You guys are a team. So don't treat them like they're at the top of the totem pole and you're at the bottom. They will respect you if you treat yourself like a young professional who's worth their time. So come into the meeting excited, prepared, and ready to work, not ready to freak out about them and how amazing their agency is. And finally, don't let the meeting be the most important thing in the world for you. Don't let it be the only thing that day. Don't let it be the thing that you think is going to make your career, because after you get an agent, you're going to have a lot of work to do too. So your agent gets paid 10% because they're doing 10% of the work. Therefore, the agent meeting should just be 10% of your day. Afterwards, go to the park, go on a walk, call a friend, and talk about stuff that's not acting related. Make sure you're taking care of yourself as well. And part of that is managing your hope. So all of your hope shouldn't go into your first agent meeting. It's just a fluke if it works out. It's like going on a first date. After that, you should just be ready to go in and be teammates with them and go on the audition process, because you're going to be spending a lot of time with this person. So don't treat it like it's a big deal and you've got to freak out. Let them see who you are and they're going to love you.
Wow. Thank you, Coco. That's like a lot of really good information to keep in mind, especially the part about just do the work.
Yeah,
right?
that's
like,
always going to be the most important thing.
That's excellent. So be who you are. That's always tricky when you're a young person because you're still trying to figure out who you are, but we'll work on it.
It's also okay for you not to know, for you to say, I think I'm into comedy right now, but who knows, next year I might be into something else. That's okay too.
Oh, so we can be honest.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna put that one right there. Excellent. So let's say I took your advice, right? I did all the things you said to do. I made sure that I stayed away from the things you said not to do. And my agent and I actually really hit it off. They're really excited about my work. I'm really excited about what potential things they could set up for me. And they've actually gotten me my first audition. So my first like professional audition that I wouldn't have been able to just submit for myself is now on the table. Again, what do I do?
Well, for an in-person audition, there's a couple things that I encourage you to do and a couple things I encourage you not to do, just like meeting with agents. So the first thing is, you don't know who all's going to be in that office. Be nice to everyone. I put my desk right up front, so I'm the first person you see. And sometimes actors think that I'm the receptionist. And so sometimes they're a little rude to me. And then they're very surprised when I invite them in to audition for me. You should ask any questions you have about the scene that you didn't understand. You always have time to ask a couple questions, so don't feel like you have to rush. You should dress to imply the character. That does not mean coming in costume. If you're playing a clown, maybe dress in a bright colored t-shirt, but you don't have to wear a clown outfit. Same thing if you're wearing, like, if you're auditioning for something that takes place in the past, a period piece, you don't have to go out and rent a costume. Just wear something very simple that doesn't imply a time period. Then you're going to want to act well, which means you're going to need to know the scenes inside and out. I want you to know your lines. I want you to know the other person's lines. And I want you to know any other information on that page. Because if you miss just one piece, then we don't know if you can actually play the part or not. Then, once you're in there and you're ready to go, I want you to take a deep breath. This means that you are in charge of your audition. You're not starting before you're ready, but also taking a deep breath calms you down, makes you feel ready, and gives you that little burst of energy for the scene. And finally, if we give you any direction after the first take, make sure you understand it. Feel free to ask questions if you don't. It's very important that you know what you're doing, and we'd rather have that conversation then than have you do the take and not have understood it and have to do the take again. Now, some don'ts. Do not make your audition a social meeting. I typically love my actors, but I don't have all day to be talking with them about how their day is or catching up on past events. I have a lot of people to see, so make sure you respect that. Don't ask questions just to ask questions on that same note. We also don't have time for you to show off that you've really read the script properly. I will see that in your work. So you don't have to say, oh, so I'm noticing that this beat is this, and I am wondering blah, 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 just to make yourself sound like a smarty pants. You trust that the work will show you off properly. Don't wear too much makeup unless it's for a very specific character and we asked you to. Otherwise, we want you to look as much like yourself as possible, because remember, you don't want to come in saying, also, these are the notes I'm giving to the makeup artist and the hairstylist on set. We want you to look like you as a blank slate so that we can put that stuff on you. Don't rush yourself. That's part of the breathing in thing. We invited you to this. We're not on a time schedule where you have to rush. We'd rather have you take your time, understand everything, feel really good about the process, than have you nervous and feeling like you don't have the 10 minutes or the 15 minutes that we're giving you. Don't, and this is a big one, bring more than one prop. If you need a phone for the scene, great. You're probably going to have that with you anyway, and it's pretty simple to use. If you need a pencil or pen for the scene, that's fine to bring too. But don't bring a whole office kit with you, because first of all, it'll take too long to set up. But also, you will be so nervous with the props that you won't even be focused on your acting. So make sure that the props are only the things that you need. And finally, do not touch casting for any reason. Don't hug us unless we ask you to. Don't use us as a scene partner, and if there's a slap in the scene, slap us, or break something in the office because it's a tantrum scene. Remember, we're asking you to pretend. We're not asking you to actually do what's on the page. So make sure that you remember we're people first, and we don't want you coming in and assaulting us. And do not bring weapons or liquids or things that will break. Never, ever, ever, because you never know if that's going to scare someone or hurt you or someone else. So safety first.
Excellent. Thank you, Coco. So I'm actually just making mental notes to myself too, because I'm like, oh, man, I like to shake people's hands. Like, that's what I do when I come in the room normally. So it's good for you to kind of rein that back in and be like, oh, they're probably going to see maybe like 25 different people today, so they might not want to shake my sweaty hand.
And especially in COVID times, think of casting as frontline workers. We don't want to get you sick, but we've seen 30 people today. So make sure you're taking care of yourself as well.
6 feet, I think, is a good rule just in general. We'll hang on to that. We'll keep that even post-COVID.
Yes.
Excellent. All right. So Coco, especially now during COVID, we know that there's a lot more self-taping going on. So in theater, normally we go in, we have a live audition, right? We're in the room with the person, but in film and TV, it's pretty typical to actually be asked to put yourself on tape for an audition or a callback. So could you just kind of walk us through what that looks like? Like how would we set that up for ourselves at home, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. So for a setup at home, it's pretty simple. We need to be able to see you. We need to be able to hear you, and we need you to be the focus, which means if you have a background that has a lot of different things in it, make a plain background. All I've done here is I put up a sheet. That's all. And it gives me a background that's easy and plain so that I'm the focus. Use good lighting so that we can see you. If it's overhead lighting and it's casting a bunch of shadows on your face, maybe you need a different room in your house. Natural light is always going to be your best friend, but make sure it's also not blowing you out. Make sure that we can hear you and your reader. So if your reader is zooming in with you, make sure they're speaking up. Then if you're using a phone to film yourself, instead of having it long ways like this, flip it to this way. That's how film is seen in a movie theater. You'll notice that there's 2 bars on the screen and it's lengthwise. That's how we want you to film it. Then set it up on something so it's not going to move. We don't want to see your camera going all over the place. We want you to be still and easy, just like a film would be. And finally, we want to frame you properly. We should be able to see just the top of your shoulders, and we should be able to see about 1 inch of space over your head. So make sure you're not too close and make sure you're not too far away, because we do want to see the expressions on your face. Things that you don't want to do. You don't want to label your tape improperly. We get a lot of tapes in, so make sure it has your name very clearly, the role, and any other information we ask for on the label. We also want you to slate generally. Slates will have your name, your age, and if you're over 18, I want you to say over 18. You don't have to say your age at that point. And any other information we ask you to give. Often we want you to give your location. So I'm based in Los Angeles. We might want you to give your agent name, and we might want you to give the role name. But we'll let you know what we need when we send the self-tape requests. We don't want you to look directly into camera, same way we do when we bring you in. So look slightly off camera, and if you have a reader in the room with you, just have them sit next to the camera. That's the easiest way to frame that. And we do also want you memorized, so don't be holding your script up. In self-tapes, it's pretty easy. All you have to do is, if you're holding it here, drop it to here. Then we can't see it, but you can still hold it if it's something that makes you feel a little less nervous. And then don't do anything that you wouldn't do in a real audition. So don't use too many props. Don't try to make it a film. If it's a car scene, don't film it in your car. We want it to feel like as close to a real audition as possible. When you're sending it to your team, we want you to trim it. So we don't want the first part where you're like, okay, are we going? We going? Action? Great, awesome. And we don't need the last part where it's like, cut. All right, that felt good. Yeah, we sending that? So trim it so all we see is the scene, label it very clearly, make sure your slate is in there and it's all one piece, and send it off to your agent, and they will treat it like a real audition.
Excellent. All right. So there's your crash course, my friends, in how to self-tape. The more you do it, the better you will get, I promise. And the wonderful thing about putting yourself on tape is that you can always delete it and do it over again.
And there are also classes that'll help you learn to self-tape if that's something you're interested in.
How long should we invest in a self-tape audition typically? Like, is it going to take us 5 hours to do this?
It shouldn't. You'll get in your head because it's you doing the tapes. So if you can, get a professional to be in the room with you, whether it's a teacher or another actor or something like that, so that they can watch the tapes and you don't make yourself crazy. You should be able to spend about as much time as you would spend in a real audition. So giving you the benefit of a cushion, I would say you should spend about 30 minutes for your self-tape. Because you will have done all your work beforehand, as far as memorizing and going through the beats and making sure your choices are solid. So all you'll have to do in theory is set up the lights, the camera, your reader, and then run it like a real audition. And if you start watching your tapes too often, you're just going to make yourself crazy. So do it until you feel good about it, and then leave it alone. It can always be better, but we know that you can do better on set too. So we trust that your best is what you can do. And if it's right for the character, it's perfect for us.
That's a really good reminder. We're not looking for perfection.
Yes, definitely.
So Coco, with everything that you've shared with us today, we definitely have some more questions that are coming in from our viewers. So if it's okay, I'll go ahead and field one of them. But I just also want to remind our viewers that in just a moment, we're also going to play a quick game with Coco called Hot Seat. So if you've never played it before, it basically works like this. We're going to ask you to go ahead and submit some quick questions for Coco via chat. All right. Now, they can be questions that are industry related, or they can just be kind of fun, personal, silly questions like, hey, Coco, what's your favorite dessert? All right. But we do want to actually give you an opportunity to get to know Coco a little bit more as a human being, because directors, as much as we tend to forget, are human beings. They're people, everybody. So we'll come back to that activity in just one moment. In the meantime, friends, go ahead and pop those questions into the chat. And Coco, our first question that came up actually takes us back to headshots.
Mm-hmm.
So one of our viewers would like to know specifically, can I use the same headshots for theater as for on-screen auditions and work?
You should be able to. A good, clean picture that looks like you should be usable for any medium. Now, there are certain character shots that some agents will have you do for commercials specifically, and those you typically can only use for commercials. Those are the ones where you have a bright background and maybe like a more wacky costume a little bit and a very specific look. Like if they're having you do this look, probably that's a commercial shot. And that is better for those than TV or film. But TV and film headshots should be applicable either way.
Excellent. That's good to know. Saving money by...
I'm all about saving actors money. Yes.
Thank you. We all appreciate that. All right, friends. So if you have any more questions that came up either about anything we've talked about today or maybe something that we didn't even touch on yet, please feel free to pop those into the chat. And we have a wonderful opportunity right here, real life casting director, Coco Kleppinger, to answer all of those questions, no matter how silly they might seem. Give yourself permission to not know the answer so that we can ask, because it's probably something that I don't know either. So I'm interested in finding out.
Right,
It looks like we do have a couple questions that we can start our hot seat with.
All right.
So I'm going to go ahead and ask Vietka if she could jump back into the picture with us just for this quick game. Hey, Vietka. So, Vietka, have you played Hot Seat before?
I don't think so, but can you explain it to me?
Yeah, I'll just refresh your memory. So basically, I'm going to ask you to put 1 minute on the clock. So we just need a timer 1 minute because that's how fast this game moves. And in that 1 minute, we are going to rapid fire questions at Coco. All right, so Coco, I'll be fielding the questions. They're coming in right now, actually via my chat on my phone. So friends, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just actually looking for the questions that you're sending right here on my phone. And Coco, I'll just ask you the questions, quick, short answers, because we've only got a minute. If there's one that we think is like really interesting, you're like, oh, you know what, I want to tell you more about that. We do have the Q&A coming right up afterwards, and we can spend more time, of course, divulging that information. Coco, really important point also, you do have the option to pass if you so choose on any of these questions. All right, Vietka, we good?
Yep.
Excellent. Coco, we good?
We're good.
Fabulous. All right, friends at home, if you've got questions for Coco, now is the time. Pop them into the chat so that they pop up on my screen. And Vietka, let's go ahead and put 1 minute on the clock. Coco, you are in the hot seat, my friends. Let's get to know you a little better. All right, so let's see. First question. Oh, wow. Okay, there's like a bunch coming in. Flip-flops or tennis shoes?
Flip-flops.
Excellent. One word of encouragement before entering an audition.
You're ready.
Favorite happy place?
Wyoming.
Should you choose to do only theater or only screen acting?
Theater.
Favorite project you've ever worked on?
It.
Current movie or series that you are binging?
Perry Mason.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Excellent. Where are you from?
Wyoming.
Oh, we said that earlier, though. Where are you from specifically?
Oh, Laramie, Wyoming.
Oh, Laramie. All right. Yeah. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
What is your biggest pet peeve as a casting director?
Actors who don't do their work.
What is one of your favorite parts about being a casting director?
Actors who do their work.
LA or New York?
LA.
LA, very good. And how much time do we have left on the clock, Vietka?
10 seconds.
Oh, what's the most annoying part of screen acting?
Waiting.
Excellent. All right, friends, we are out of time. That concludes our hot seat with Coco. Thank you for your questions. Coco, thank you for your answers.
Of course.
I have to definitely wholeheartedly agree with that last one. I'm not the kind of person who likes to sit around, so screen acting is hard for me.
Yeah.
All right. So Coco, we do have a few more minutes of our session today. Let's go ahead and field some questions, some Q&As. I know I've got some personally coming from more experience on the stage side of things, as well as Vietka has some for you. And of course, friends who are watching, if you've got questions for Coco, now is the time to ask. People pay big bucks to talk to her, to take her. No joke, like she is a big deal. So let's take advantage of this opportunity. If you've got questions, go ahead and send them. It looks like we've got one more that actually goes a little bit deeper on the only film or commercial. So it says, is screen acting more intensive than in-person acting? So I imagine they're talking about like live theater. And what is your opinion of the whole hot seat game? Those are two separate questions. So
I actually really like the hot seat game because it doesn't give you chances to overthink things. So I dig it. And then as far as the different acting styles, I really think that honest acting is applicable through any medium. I think if you're telling a story and you're doing it honestly, if you're on stage, all you have to do is tell it honestly for everyone. So you have to be aware of how many people you're telling it to. In LA, we have a lot of theaters that only have 50 seats. So you're telling a story to 50 people. For film, it's a little more intimate, but it's the same process. You're not, I mean, I don't think you'd like to see a stage performance where someone was very hammy and big and you didn't believe them. And likewise, you wouldn't want to see a film performance where someone was so quiet, so mumbly that you couldn't understand them. So there's a split place in between where you're being honest with yourself, with the story, and you are incorporating who the audience is for that story. Does that make sense?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to start off with the first question, and I'll pass it to you, Vietka, for some follow-up. But Coco, you and I have talked specifically about self-care, right? So both of us, we come from training as actors and working as actors and then kind of going in different directions from there. So I think we both really understand and appreciate the idea of self-care. And you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but what as young aspiring actors who are just going out into the world and really just kind of emerging in these careers, what should they be doing to take care of themselves? I know, for example, one of the things that I always share with people is just be a human being. So you're a human, you're a person first, you're an actor second.
I agree with that. As a teenager, when I started acting at least, it's very tempting to dive in and just kind of drown yourself in it. And that's not going to be helpful for your career in the long run, and it's not going to be very healthy for you. Make sure that you're also hanging out with your friends and not making it about acting. Make sure you have other activities that you like to do. And the most important thing I tell actors is that what you want is a 60-year career. Your hope is the engine that will get you from here to here. Now, if you leave an audition and you beat yourself up and you kill a little bit of that hope, you're cutting a year off. If you spend all day beating yourself up because you're not right for whatever role, that's 5 years. So guard your time, guard your heart, and most importantly, guard your hope. Don't make it such a big deal that every audition is going to make your life better or worse. It should just be fun. And don't ever forget that. You got into this because you loved telling stories. You thought it was fun. So when it starts feeling like it's more scary than it is fun, then re-examine how you're treating it.
Thanks, Coco. So just on the same topic of self-care, really quickly, a couple more questions. What are your thoughts as a casting director specifically about self-produced work? So let's say I'm like, you know what, I don't have anything going on right now, but my friend wrote this script and we're thinking about filming it together. So is that something that I could put on my resume? How do you view that?
I love it. I think it's super valuable. It'll teach you a lot about how you want to tell stories and what kind of stories you want to tell. But also, if you look around and don't see that anyone's telling stories that are like you, that incorporate your voice and your personality, then write one that does. We need all the voices we can get these days. So any story that you feel passionately about, you should absolutely be telling. And you never know, that could be the start of your career, or it could just be a personal revelation for you. But either way, I think it's 100% worth doing.
Thank you, that's good to know. And then last point on self-care. So as a young actor, I think it's kind of hard sometimes because you get down to the bottom of your resume and you're like, special skills. And it's like, you might not really have any yet. Is that okay? Like, can you just start from zero? Like,
absolutely. If your resume starts with one thing on it, that's okay. Everyone's going to start somewhere. You don't need to be Meryl Streep at 18. So really just be mindful and make sure that you're doing what you want to be doing. So it's no good to go learn how to play basketball for a year if basketball is not something you're into. But if you really love swimming, then go out and perfect it. Go out and do it, and it'll be good for you. It'll be good for your life. It'll be good to have something that's not acting. And then you can also put it on your special skills. That goes for any sport, any class that you take, anything that you're really into. Just cultivate what you're naturally into. Because if you try to force special skills on yourself, you'll be unhappy and you'll think of it as work. And again, it is supposed to be play.
Excellent. That's good to keep in mind. I think my younger self would have appreciated hearing that too.
Mine too.
Even when I was 18, I was like, oh, I'm not good at basketball. I'm not going to bother with that. But hey, if somebody had told me, actually, you don't have to be good at it, just start getting better.
Yeah.
That would have been really liberating.
And you can absolutely put basketball, beginner, on your resume, or dance, intermediate, or wherever level you are. We just want to know what you're into. We want to know that you're a person too.
Excellent. All right. Well, I know we've got a bunch more questions from our audience viewers, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Vietka, because she's got a running list of them, and we'll take the next few minutes to answer some of those questions.
Thank you, Tara. And we do have quite a few questions. As many of you know, we had a binational episode a few weeks ago. And so there was a question that says, if you are a foreign actor auditioning in another country, what kind of advice would you like to give that person?
I think, collect people that can help you. Take a class and make sure that you have a teacher who can be on your side. Eventually, you will need to talk to an agent or manager about a visa situation. But it's the same as any process. You're going to need to learn the language. You're going to need to learn the dialect. A lot of agents want you to sound like an American. So make sure that you're learning that. But otherwise, it's just, if you're a good actor, you'll be a good actor, and people will help you get a career no matter where you are. Plus, we're in a global community at this point. So you can kind of audition from anywhere. The important thing is, if I'm auditioning for German films, I better be able to speak German. And I better be able to speak it with the right dialect. That's the same for American films. If we want you to seem like an American, we're going to expect you to sound like one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This other question is actually, a couple of people have asked it, but some of the viewers are into theater. And so is there, going between theater and focusing on film, or focusing on film and TV only? Can you do both? Sorry, that was the timer. So, I mean, does it matter if you transition back and forth, or you start with one or the other?
You can absolutely do both. There's a million different venues for acting these days. There's all kinds of platforms to be acting, and you should be acting anytime you can. As long as it's a story that you like, that you can support, a part that you like and can support, I say do acting as much as you can at this point, especially because you guys are young. So you're going to need experience anywhere you can get it. So if your friend invites you to come for the weekend and film something in their garage, and then the next week you're in a play, and the week after that you're in a film, and the week after that you do a commercial, all the better. At least you're learning what you like. And at this point, if you say, I like theater, but I don't like film, and you're under 18, chances are you don't totally know that yet. So make sure you're exploring all the opportunities you can, and you might find that you like one of them more than others, and that is 100% valid.
That makes me think of another question is the style of acting for television and commercials and TV and theater. Those seem to be kind of different, right? So is there a kind of a similar vein between all of them, or maybe they are this similar?
It's always important to know the tone, but that can apply for if you're doing a Neil LaBute play. That's different than if you're doing a Shakespeare play. So you're always going to be looking for what's the tone of the piece that I'm doing. If it's a comedy, you're going to need some comic timing. If it's a drama, you're going to need to learn how to be very honest and vulnerable. And I find that's true across films as well. If you look at something like Thor Ragnarok, that's a very different style of film than Schindler's List, for example. And so knowing the style of the piece is more important than knowing the style of the type of acting you're doing. Because again, good, honest acting within the scope of that style is always going to be applicable all over the place.
Thank you. So we have a lot of Gen Zs in the audience, and one of them is saying, how's the industry going with the popularity of the internet, right? Everyone's making webisodes and YouTube videos and TikTok videos. That's a lot of content that's being generated right now. So is it competing with the film and TV industry, especially now during COVID?
Oh no, we're pulling from all of it. So if you do a web series, we might turn it into a show. It's been done before. Broad City started as a web series, and there's many other examples of that. In addition, we're opening platforms all over the place. So YouTube has its own films that it's producing. Facebook has its own TV shows that it's producing. We've got Apple and Disney Plus and Hulu. All of these platforms are all just chances for you to act. And so if you do something and put it on YouTube, there's a chance that someone could see it and pick it up on a different platform. So you should always be making your own stuff, and you should always be looking out for any opportunities, because there are no bad ones in the sense of where the platform is. Now, there are going to be opportunities that aren't right for you, and that's okay, because there are so many opportunities out there. So if you find one that you're like, this doesn't fit me, that's all right. There's going to be another one soon.
Great, thank you. That's actually a really good segue into this next question, which is, how is COVID affecting the industry right now? Right, there's no movie theater film, like blockbuster summer films right now, and I know that's a huge hit to the industry. So maybe a little insight on that.
So it's very important that we all wear our masks. I will put that out first.
Yes.
If you want to go to a movie theater or a concert or anything anytime soon, wear your mask. It has slowed it down, but it hasn't stopped it. We're still having auditions, we're still getting prepped for films, and we're still filming things. We're just having to be very careful how we do it, and it's a little more expensive. So as soon as we can get everyone healthy, the better. So do wear your mask. As far as theater goes, it's even worse. It's shut down theater for a while until we can promise that everyone in an audience can wear a mask and be safe. So keep on the healthy side of this, and eventually we'll come back. But at the moment, things are happening in the TV and film side. Not a whole lot's happening on the theater side except for Zoom readings and things like that. But keep your eyes and ears to the ground, because stuff's coming.
Yeah, that's good to know. I do miss being in the theater, both movie and regular theater. So I hope it does come back to normal soon.
Me too.
This one question is actually pretty relevant to these times. It says, what about roles that are stereotypes? I want to get work, but I also don't want to be typecasted or be told to be more of a certain type. How do you deal with that?
You can always pass on a project, and I actually encourage you to do so. So there will be filmmakers still today in these woke times of 2020 who don't see the world the way that it is. They're the people who are going to want the world to be, for lack of a better term, black and white. So it's always okay if you get a stereotype to say no thank you. And it's always okay if you don't see someone who represents you to go make your own thing. We wouldn't be anywhere if we didn't have that happening. We've got amazing movies and amazing television, and every time we take a step forward, it's because someone's brave enough to say, my story is valid, and I'm going to show you what it is. So keep showing us what your story is, and we will be better, hopefully, with that. We're getting better, we're learning, but you will encounter people who are still stuck in the dark ages, and then it's always okay to say no to those people.
I feel like that's really good advice, because it's really hard to be yourself these days, especially when you're younger, right? You're still trying to figure out who you are. And so to embrace that, I think that's very good advice for the younger people, because then they learn to be comfortable in their own skin and present exactly who they are, right?
And there's so much out there that if you're not comfortable with this kissing scene, there's a movie out there where you don't have to kiss anybody. You just have to find it. If you're not comfortable because this character is a stereotype, then pass on it. There's other projects out there. There's so many that are going to have a person who feels three-dimensional to you, and that's going to be more important than you working all the time. You working on quality is better than you working all the time.
Yes, quality over quantity is what we want. Yes. I had too much coffee. I'm just so jittery right now.
Hey, Vivek, I have one last question if we've got time for it.
Yeah, I think we do. Go right ahead.
All right, perfect. So friends, just so you know, our time is running out because I am, boom, out of coffee. But Coco, I did just want to sneak this one in because we were having such a good conversation when we were talking about, how to put together this workshop. And one of the things you said that stuck with me was this idea of, because you've worked a lot with young actors in the casting room and on these projects that we talked about a little bit earlier in your bio. And one of the things you said was, come in, and if you're 8 years old, be 8 years old, because that's exactly what we're looking for. Yeah. Don't be 40 years old in an 8-year-old's body. So is that something that young actors, even if they're 18, 19, 20, 25, should also keep in mind? Is that something that's applicable to them as well?
Yeah, I mean, across the board, not just with age. We're calling you in because we want to see what you'll do with the character. So we're not asking you to be a different actor, a more famous actor, a more experienced actor, an older actor, a younger actor. We want you. This especially goes with, as teenagers, I can attest to this. A lot of times we're uncomfortable with how we look. And sometimes when we get an audition, we think, man, I wish I was more good looking for this audition, for lack of a better term. And there's a lot of pressure to be beautiful in Hollywood. But the truth of the matter is, we're not looking for perfect in films. We're looking for real life. And in real life, a lot of times people look like regular people. So we called you in because you look like you. And we want to see you act knowing your resume at your level. And we want to see what you do with the character. And it might be a situation where you come in and you audition and you're not quite ready for that film. But we love that you came in and did your best work, and we will keep you in mind for other films.
Excellent. All right, friends, so you heard it straight from the CD's mouth to your ears. They want you. All right, so keep that in mind. And Vietka, I think that concludes our questions for the day for sure. Coco, thank you so much. I wish we had 5 more workshops. Sit down with you.
This was a blast.
Excellent. All right, Vietka, passing it back to you. Thank you for having us on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much to the two of you. Honestly, this was really awesome. I thought it was really fun, and it was really great information. Maybe I'll get into the commercials. I don't know. But I do like the coffee part, and we will be back for another afternoon next week at 3:30 on Facebook and YouTube Live. Again, this is a professional development workshop that is aimed towards high school students. So anyone who's starting out in their career should tune into these. We also have some replays coming up. The Business Basics 1.0 from Jake is going to air again tomorrow. And so keep an eye out for that. And then we will release the schedule for the next 4 weeks of Creative Youth Studio. And we will see you next week. Thank you so much. And thank you again, Coco. And thank you again, Tara. Bye, everyone.